never mind 10,000 hours. It was like probably 100,000 hours of just doing that. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it was like not the tubes. You know what I mean? We had it different here. That bus scene. Yeah, that was my life. You know, to go all city, you would have to, you have to get about 40 buses per day.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. One-stop wonders.
Fuck's sake.
One-stop wonders. Get on, you tag it, get off, maybe 2 stops, you know what I mean? But you and then you have to go to different areas.
One-stop wonders, I fucking... I don't miss that, that's fucking great. Very good.
Get up there, tag it, get off, do you know what I mean?
One-stop wonders.
So
on and off the whole time.
On and off,
boom, boom.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then another thing that was God bless, Raid, fallen soldier. He
Rest
was
in
like,
peace.
and Teo, they were the ones who said, just go to the depot. So sneak into the depot, put a yellow high-vis jacket on and get in.
Killa Kela podcast. KillaKelaOfficial.com.
Street Culture TV.
Instagram UK Frontline.
Beatbox created.
Killa Kela.
And we're here to talk about world music and street culture.
Killa Kela podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Killa Kela podcast live and direct. We in central London, we're somewhere else. Mind your business until I mention it in a minute. Big shout out to all the shares and carers, people that have been clocking from the very early stages, the infancy of the podcast. Okay, people, our sponsors, the mighty GK Nifty Heads, have 10,000 play to earn GraffPunks NFTs to give away. Get ready as London's white trash goes blockchain digital with Bitcoin Cash tokens locked into them to claim. Get yourselves over to the website gkniftyheads.com and play to earn now. Inside the house, we have a gentleman that runs an equal parallel of music as well as graffiti, starting very early in the graffiti years, you understand. Manchester's very own. We're going to go from train spotting, to paint creating, Thunderdome, into Saggy Soaps, into Hacienda, the DJ, the graffiti artist. Would you please give it up, turn it up, make some noise. Fonz in the house! How are you, my brother?
I'm very well, thank you,
Come
sir.
a little bit closer.
A bit
I
closer,
don't want to be losing you, my brother.
Yeah, there we go. Sit too laid back.
How you doing, Fonz? You good?
Yeah, very well.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
laid back.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the esteemed podcast.
Yes, and thank you very much, because I know you're an avid watcher as much as
Yeah, a fan as well as a partaker. So
Yes.
and I kind of like just loved everything still about it. It's just the adrenaline of facts. It's like facts and figures. It's just the ins and outs of the whole thing.
How important is that? Because it's a vital ingredient to anybody that wants longevity, isn't it? You've got to love it.
Yeah, because if you're not loving it, then you're just in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whatever your passion is. If you're not doing it for the right reasons, you're faking it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You beatboxing, you spend your 10,000 hours, then you get good. You know what I mean? It's the same.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That's
Big up,
what it's about. You know, you don't do it because you think, I'll be famous, or I'll get girls, or it'll be this or that. Do you know what I mean? I don't really know. You just do it because that's you, and you're expressing something that's in you. A lot of love in this city for music, for graffiti, the history. You know what I mean? It's seeped, and it's still carrying on. Do you know what I mean? Because I left the graffiti scene for music.
Yeah.
From one thing to another, from one addiction to another.
It's kind of addictions we like.
Yes. Well, there you go. So that in itself is a story, but I suppose it's still going on. Manchester's absolutely getting blammed.
It's getting blammed.
Yeah, and the young ones who I've met just recently, actually went out and painted a couple of weeks ago myself.
Did you?
Yeah, I was like, "Are you coming out?" I was like, "Oh yeah. It has to be sunny." You know what I mean? I'm not. You know what I mean?
The moon and stars have to align.
Yeah. The planets have to align.
But that's a real accreditation, isn't it, for when the younger generations of people that recognise real.
Well, it was nice to you know what I mean, to be spoken about in still that people still remember for what you did and who you are, what you stood for, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I just like at the time, back in the day, it wasn't anything to do with that. It was just because We didn't do it. I don't suppose I had a choice really. It was like what's what you did. You know, it's like what Esper was saying before. It's just if you was from an area that the kids did that, or you was from hip hop, like you know the b-boy days. That's how I actually got started into it.
And it was part of your youthful upbringing. It was part of the social shift.
It was Manchester was hip hop.
Yeah.
Manchester was hip hop.
Manchester City Breakers.
What was it? We had Broken Glass.
Broken Glass as well, yeah, absolutely.
Street Machine.
That's right.
They was, you know what I mean.
Serious crews, you know.
It all ties in because, like, you know, Rhino, Paul Ryan, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
He was Majestic CIA. And
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So he was like one of the early bombers of the buses. So here it was,
That's
you know, it was
crazy.
a bus scene.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know, it wasn't really about trains, although a few did get done. I think the first train in Manchester was done by Tech One, my homeboy. Yes.
Wow.
So Boxing Day, '86, I think. If
So
I remember right.
you're saying that he was one of the first,
Yes.
hands down.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Okay. See, we're getting entire knowledge here. Okay.
Definitely.
Wow.
So there was always been a healthy graffiti scene since the b-boy days, which, you know, back end of 82, 83. Just, it was hip-hop, you know what I mean? That was it. It was electro. I'd gone shopping with my mum in the Arndale and seen the kids breaking, and obviously I'd seen it on the TV, but I was like, with this music, it's like the 808s and everything else, you know what I mean? Cybertron, this thing, I was like, what the fuck is this? And it was Broken Glass and we're breaking in the Arndale for money.
Wow.
And I stood there as about, so that was 83. So what would I be, 10.
That's
And I was
mad.
telling my mum, I was like, right, we're going, I'm standing here. I'm standing here watching these. So I was like mesmerised by it all.
You're like the first person I've had on podcast that actually witnessed that in their infancy.
Yeah, it was unreal, and it was literally that was like the precursor to everything. So to see that, and they was, you know, they was still brand new doing it themselves. So that.
Jeez, bruv.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
I'm still.
And things have changed and come on and everything. Do you know what I mean? But that, as I think, that was like the start of, you know, Manchester already had the day, the soul scene before that. It's
jazz fusion
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
everything. The northern, but it was seeped in history. So Manchester's been a proper hotbed of talent and musical kind of shifts. Even before, you know, the generation before me, that was that. But it just seemed that just at that time, it was the start of the b-boy kind of era, and with that come the graffiti, like the Rocksteady crew, Hey You. And that was 1983. That was the first 12-inch that I actually bought with money from my
Malcolm
birthday.
McLaren and that sort of thing as well, right?
Yeah. Well, that was the Buffalo Girls, wasn't it? You know what I mean? But he had Bill Blast in the video, all the scratch making me itch, and you know what I mean. The video where they was breaking in front of the piece by Bill Blast.
God, it's great to talk to somebody that knows what he's talking about. Fucking great. This is going to be fucking great. Carry on.
So to witness that, and then to see that it was all kind of part of the same thing.
Yeah.
It was, you know, like, oh, the graffiti, it's this, it's that, but it wasn't graffiti as such. It was still, because it was still, you know, a lot of break or hip hop or characters that were b-boys. You know, the other bit didn't probably come till the back end of like 86, late 86, I would say. That's when it kind of came into its own, the graffiti. That had broken away from the b-boy thing.
Tell me about the energy, the climate, the vibe that made graffiti explode for Manchester the way it did. What was the flame? What was the thing that fucking got it going?
I think that it was just like a youth movement, because if you was into hip hop, that all the kids, You know what I mean? It was like you had to have, you got a tag, yeah, you're going to put it up. You'd walk the streets, you know what I mean? Or but was it here because obviously we didn't have the tube?
Yeah.
It was a bus scene.
Buses.
The buses.
Yeah, you mentioned this.
Yeah.
The buses were a really big commodity.
It was you know, if you was to go like the same as All City, you had to put a lot of work in. But you know, every area had the people who would be, you know, strong in that area, and the little bits of style that would be exclusive to that little area. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of, and if you didn't go in other areas, you just kept to your little bit. But it was that allure of getting your name up and everyone knowing who you are. Yes.
Allure, hear that?
Yeah. That's what it was. It was like, and because obviously I was always into writing my name just everywhere anyway. Before that, just round the streets where I lived, and it was like just punk graffiti. Before that, you know what I mean? It's like, who's doing this?
That is a thing.
I was interested in it because I wanted to know who's doing it. What's this about? Why are they doing that? What does that mean? The criminality of it as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The anonymity. There you go.
Running off all these fucking words today. It's true though,
so,
because even with the punk-esque, you know, the NF stuff, you know, as a kid you ain't got a fucking clue what any of that means. What the fuck do these initials stand for? What does that A and a cross stand for?
Yeah. Especially up here, mate. Do you know what I mean? It was that there was a lot of like kind of
had to get eradicated.
Yeah.
Graffiti cleansed that.
Racism, but then after that, you know, always up here, Manchester's not racist. It's always been about the melting pot of kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From any background, all living in the same streets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was never really about that. I mean, obviously little pockets of that, you know, same as every other place.
Everywhere else.
Everywhere.
But
Manchester, we weren't about that. You know, kids who I did graffiti with, it was, you know, black, white, green, whatever.
Pink, Krylon.
If you was getting up, you got respect for what you was doing. It didn't matter who you are, what, you know, kings, queens, whatever. Girls did it, you know, boys did it. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
But up
unification of subculture.
It definitely was the subculture. It was like the unwritten thing that you did, and if you was in my eyes, it was like so. Once that started, it was that kind of thing to be right. I wanted the neatest tags, and you know, had to be this, had to be that. So it just evolved from that, really. But definitely Manchester was the place for me. Obviously, you know, you look to London and everywhere else, and when we saw even Star Wars, you know what I mean, and then what see, brain's gone now.
Bad meaning good.
Even bad meaning good. Well, behind the beat, BBC2, that
crazy.
That was Subway Art was like the kicker for loads of people. I mean, that's the most racked book in the world. So I mean, I gave a fiver to a kid at my school to go and get one.
Really?
When it first came out, it's like, I give you a fiver. I was like, I'm not going to rack that myself. It's a bit big. You know,
yeah. I'll never get away with that.
Yeah, came back and, you know what I mean, there's your fiver, Morsey, and you know, I had a copy. So that was like literally the first couple of weeks that it came out. You know, and everybody was mad on it. But,
talk to me about your first craziest experience, altercations. The first altercations you've had as a youngster, when we're talking early teens, right? Like
graffiti.
You can get away with some scrapes, right?
Yeah, you know. Well, I grew up in a small little mill town, so it was like nobody was doing it. There was actually a couple of people who was. Big shouts to Gilly, SMA.
Gilly, yeah.
He was doing
putting the work.
He was putting up. He did some like a piece on the railway station, tough stuff, with some characters, like, you know what I mean. I've since found out that because I got to know him a little bit later on, but he'd been to New York. And it was influenced from that, and he was heavily into
it's always those kids.
It's
always those kids that I just came back from America, and all of a sudden you're seeing all this stuff, and you're like, bro, like you just got your passport to like the fucking epicenter.
The epicenter. You know what I mean? You're blessed out. You've seen that. Do you know what I mean?
They leave with an English accent, they come back with an American one. Them kids.
Well, he was a couple of years older than I was.
Right.
BMX, because BMX was thing that was, you know, the other youth.
It fell in,
movements.
it fell in line with
it
that.
was
That's
all
right.
That, you know, it was all part of it. It was part of the lineage of that. But scrapes, you know, just like trying to sneak, walking around at night doing street bombing. Do you know what I mean? You'd get so, what are you doing around my fucking house?
Superheroes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Having to have a jib off, and you know what I mean? And I moved from there in just before Christmas 1986, and I moved to another area. But with that, you know, 'cause my family had a pub in the centre of Oldham, so right outside. Yeah, so I know. I mean, so I was having adult conversations Saturday from 7 or 8. So I was in there. You know, I wasn't frightened of anything. It was like, yeah, I can do that. I can do this. I can do that.
Wow, you really were in party. I'm talking to a real Mancunian here. This is the real shit. You grew up around like the legit Manchester.
Well, I mean, so it was like
culture.
It's still like, you know, about 6 or 7 miles away from the city centre, but you know, northern culture, definitely. You know, especially pub culture. Yeah. It was a different time then. You know what I mean? This is when, you know, there'd be 10 fights a night. You know what I mean? And it was just. Yeah, it was a bit raucous growing up in that kind of environment as a boozer. But to say back to the scrapes right outside the boozer, it was the bus stop. So as soon as that scene started, I saw it. It was like, right, it was like hieroglyphics. What's this? Who are these people? So it's like, you know, you read it backwards. It was like, I wanted to be a part of that.
Oh, God, yeah.
It'd gone from being on the walls saying break and hip-hop and whatever else, you know what I mean, onto this, you know, tags on the buses, 86, that was one of the things. And I met Joey years later. He was from Hume, I think. I'm pretty sure he was from Hume, but like that was, you know, just things that stick in your mind. It was like, who are these people? Yeah. What are they doing? Who are these crews? Do you know what I mean?
It's funny, it's self-fulfilling as well, because when you eventually meet these people, it's almost like you've
already
done
know
that
them.
yourself.
You already knew them. Yeah, because you start telling them things, they go,
how do you know that?
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Feds should know that. How do you know that?
Yeah, you know that. Yeah, like
just a little bit.
Yeah,
come forward just a there you go.
There you go.
You got wheels. I ain't got no wheels. You see?
Yeah. There you go. So it was just one of them things that kind of, I think it just naturally happened for me into that, and then obviously who you meet along the way. So I went to school with quite a few people who was mad into the breakdancing, and as you kind of delve deeper, I was like, there was in Oldham at Mumps, which is now near the train station, the subways there, and every weekend there would be new pieces.
Something up,
Yeah. Still talking about the breaking days here, like the Street Records, who was at the Killa, who I said before, and Socket, and it's a fucking huge devil that was like Street Records underneath, and you know, a nuclear breakdown. Oh, it was hard. Yeah. You're looking at it. I'd go every week because the pub was, you know, only a few minutes walk away. I'd go down every weekend and check it. Sometimes you'd see them doing it, stand there and watch. You know what I mean? Just like this shit's. You know what I mean? Just do it during the day. Do you know what I mean? So one of the geezers who, when we took like kind of thought that how we get to the take it up a level, it was Feud and Form, and I already knew him through graffiti, the b-boy stuff, and he would just go down there and he like put Smurfs up like and just do pieces saying Smurf, you know, like he'd be about 13, just stood there in the day while people getting off the train and watching him. You know what I mean? It's a bit like what it is now. But like people would still that stun that you could stand there. Yeah, have you got permission? Yeah, of course I have. That kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, Feud and Form, and it was like we decided it was going to be
the duo.
Well, it was just we're going to get up. We're going to Let's,
but I love those. I love those kind of collaborations. You know, Shine and Quest, Scare and Krell. You know, these. Force and Enter, Revs and Cost, exactly.
Yeah.
These collaborations never, it's like this double-headed monster, and I would imagine you're just G'ing each other up as you go in.
Well, it was, he was like kind of, he'd already done lots and lots of graph kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, we want to do that, but I was like. I just wanted to go out and do it, you know what I mean, every day. So it was like, we'll go do that and every night. So it was like, when we still talk to some people now and they go, yeah, I remember seeing, well, obviously see your tags before they know you. Feud and Form. You always had a purple. You always wrote in purple. It was this time. He was always blue. I was always in purple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, so it was like the early days of that scene. But like I said, Majestic, CIA, they were the kids when I was still thinking like, yeah, I want to do that. How does that work? What, you know what I mean?
What do I have to do?
Yeah, what do I
How's
have
it
to do?
work?
How do we do that? So I mean, a few months later, we're doing it. But at first, when you see this new thing, like I said, it was like hieroglyphics on the buses. It was like, obviously I knew there were tags, but you had to decipher it and who they are and what they are. And, you know what I mean?
Totally. Because there's a method to it, and you have to learn that method the hard way.
Yes. Well, and what I didn't know is in like a place called Waterhead, and they'd found out that they get the for racking, the kids would get the yellow pages and find out where the art supplies warehouses were, and they had to get the bus right outside my pub. Yeah, to go to a place called Waterhead.
Really?
So that was it. So I was thinking, like, why is all this TBB tags on the boozer next to my?
Just follow the scent, bruv. Get that yellow pages out.
So, you
don't know what yellow pages are. This ain't the podcast for you, all right? That's an incredible story.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. So that was that. So they would get out off the bus at my pub, and I mean, then get the bus up to wherever they was going up
That's
there.
too much for me. That's amazing.
When I met them a few years later, when finally you catch up with everyone and you put names to faces, and it was like, why was you there? And it was like, Hester Hope it was. We'd go to wherever it was where the art supplies were, because that's where you get as you guys know, down in London, the torch pens, but the 30mm pop makes, as we called them. Yeah, the real deal.
The real deal.
Yeah, you knew you because it was like it was like, where do you get these pens from? You know what I mean? You get Pentels, you know what I mean? But you wanted, you know, in Rochdale there was a gaff there where like Zeal and them from. It was like Lem Bottomley's. That was the place where you went and got some pop mates from there, the Posca ones.
Really?
You know what I mean? Not the ink ones, the ones that, you know. So it was like, you had to go all over the place to go and find the tools to do this.
It's just mind-boggling that it's almost like the scene came to you.
It
was you minding your business.
Yeah, he was meant to be in it. You know what I mean? I think it was weird that, because like you said, the planets aligned. He was like, I was meant to do that.
I swear by it, bruv. I absolutely swear by it.
That energy, you drawn into that kind of thing, and if you know, if you want to do it, you do it. You just do it, don't you? So
give me some legendary spots, Hall of Fames and or other that aren't that you wouldn't find in the yellow pages, but you'd hear on the Killa Kela podcast. Give us some rarities.
Well, there was the BMX track that was in Old Trafford Wall. Yeah. I think people did BMX. Kellogg's. I'm sure the Kellogg's factory backed onto it or something like that. But the wall at Old Trafford. You had Cruel on your podcast.
Cruel.
Yeah. Big Cruel. So I was there, and I've just gone on by myself on a weekday, and he's there bombing.
Really?
And he was ouch. Before that, yes. Yeah. So
did he mention it on the podcast?
He did.
Good, thank
you.
Good.
I think he did. Yes.
There you go.
So I met him there, and then years later, you know, you just bump into someone. He's like, he was staying here for a little while, and I got introduced to him, and I was like, I know you from somewhere. And then a little bit later on in the conversation, was like, oh yeah, I used to do that.
Fucking
sick. I was like, I know you from that day. He's like, oh no, that's you. You know what I mean?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Again, just synergy.
Yeah. You can't make that up, can you? You know what I mean? So yeah, I'd met him in '88.
And that was the Kellogg's.
It was like the Old Trafford Wall, but to see, they just all like I Say Part 2, Pops.
Whoa.
Yeah, they came there. So
Nottingham crew were in the house.
Yeah. So they came, they found that wall and they came down. You know what I mean? He came down, met me there, and within like the week, you know, Pops and them was there. So I've gone down, and they were all doing these massive. So I've gone down early because but always just somebody there, especially the weather. Yeah. You know what I mean? We actually blessed with the weather. It wasn't knee deep in.
And I might just
rain.
add as well, big shout out to Suspect Packages for having us in the building. We're being looked after for real. And if you want to check out their space, get down to Manchester, around these certain quarters. You can find it in your yellow pages somewhere. There you go.
tying it in.
Other areas, where else we got? Where else we got?
That was a legendary spot. You know, you had Shine, who was T-Rock there. You had Paris, who did these big top to bottoms of the wall. You know what I mean? They was real, like I said, Shine, the Style Stars. Steve Niels, God rest his soul.
Rest
mate.
in
He
peace.
was probably
Rest in peace.
the best graffiti artist in Manchester.
Jesus, yeah.
He'd done the best piece on Ashbury's with these characters that was like, I think it was in a magazine in New York. Tough Tim mentioned
Big up, Tim.
it. Yeah.
My dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
My doggy.
He was legendary as well. Do you know what I mean? They were on the other side of midnight doing that piece saying the other side of midnight. Do you know what I mean?
You don't fuck around. I think people fiercely unsing Tough Tim for his graph. Jesus Christ.
Unreal. I mean, there was a nightclub in town called Conspiracy, and him and Dan, who goes, Super Sleuth. They had a hip hop night there on a Thursday night. Mega Blast. Mega Blast recordings.
That's right.
Yes.
More podcasts. Get insights. Come on.
That was that, and he did the flyer for that, and I remember seeing it, and then I've seen the original for it as well. The Style Stars. They were like legendary, and that was at that spot, which is Ashbury's service station on Ashton Old Road in Openshaw. So there weren't many spots really. You know what I mean?
The ones that were there were significant in the shift of
yes,
were definably cultural moments.
I mean, not that long ago, I actually gone up there and you could see the wall peeling off, and it was like about that.
Oh God,
you know what I mean? It was, but that was I think the first legal spot, proper legal, where they'd have permission off the guy, and he said as long as you don't go over the windows, we're good.
It's blessed. Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, the Kellogg's one, the BMX track one, it was just a wall. It was in the middle of nowhere. So the thing is, there, if you went and painted within 10 minutes, the local kids could be there like
causing trouble.
Off. Well, it's just painting over it.
Really?
Right, yeah, drawing dicks on it, whatever.
Okay,
you know what I mean? It was. So you'd have to get your pictures, bit like now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get your flicks and you're gone. Whereas at first there weren't that many people doing it. Like I said, Tough Tim, he's always rocking tough. There was Easy, you know, Shane, he was from Ashton. He was absolute legend. You know what I mean? So you got like Shine, Tough Tim, Easy. They were like the dons in town. People were trying to catch up to them and that kind of style. Do you know what I mean? For them to go to Bridlington and do everything that they're doing, it was like when they did a new piece, we knew.
We knew about it.
Yeah. You know, you'd be on the house phone to your
Really?
pal saying, they've done a new... So you'd be on the bus and you would go and you would look. Now, somebody puts it online and the magic's gone. Do you know what I mean? Unless you're not in that city.
Yeah. It's like what's it called? You know, when you're bird watching, you know, you got to go and find that exotic piece. You got to find it.
Yeah, you got to travel to where they are.
That's the word. Twitching. That's the word.
Twitch. Yeah.
Graph twitchers.
Yeah,
Where have you gone?
Yeah, they're graph twitchers. Yeah, you have to go. You know what I mean? And it's the same. Then they're the only one of like your crew who had a camera or who could blag it off the mum and that. Do you know what I mean? Can we lend your camera? No, you can't take it out of the house. Make sure. You know what I mean? If it got broke, you were getting levered when you got home, mate. You know what I mean?
Never mind if you get caught in the chemist with the.
Well, yes,
that's the other thing
as well. You know what I mean? So it was definitely different, but that was them were the two kind of legal spots. But yeah, when you said about close scrapes used on the buses, there was many. You know what I mean?
Really?
People jumping out of. Big shouts to Item. Jumped out the back, broke his arm.
Stop it! What's out the window?
Out the back window from upstairs.
No way.
Yeah. Esper touched on a guy before. I heard him say Teo. So there was he was like one of my kind of guys who I knocked around with, and another kid called Crash. Met them in 1989, late 89, and we was first. It was in a place called Harper Hay, right near Bernard Manning's club.
Really?
Yes, yeah. Across the road, the police station was there.
Mad.
The police station was there.
If you're not from the UK, Bernard Manning, he's he's a character in his own self, you know.
Yeah, it's so that was the Embassy Club. There you go. And we were all upstairs. There was definitely a few people, with a few groups of people who hadn't been together, all together, but we all got on because it was a nice sunny day going bombing. And the driver pulled the alarm and pulled up all the police rushed out. 6 or 7 officers rushed out and got Teo, carpeted him, armed and legged him off. He's going, you're not swearing, get off me dibble, fucking this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? So that's how I met Crasher. I said, right, come with me, and went and sat next to an old dear and said, if anybody asks, we're with you. And she just said, yes, love, no, buddy, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Oh, man, those are the kind of superheroes you really want.
That was how I met the other kids from the south side, because if you like north side, Manchester's north side and south side, basically. So it was like 2 separate scenes. And like you said, unless you knew somebody, or because obviously no phones, you know what I mean, no camera phones. Yeah, you either went and you went on the bus, and you got there and you met them, or you met them at a wall or whatever, at a spot, like Humphrey Park and all that, or it was like you had family who lived over there. You just didn't. It was like it might as well have been a different city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can imagine.
Even though it's only a couple of miles away.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Then you go 20 minutes up the road to Warrington, and you got St Helens, and you got Liverpool. Like the geographics and how people change. It's actually mad how small yet far away.
Over a 2 mile period.
Yeah, she can be completely different. Yeah.
The accent changes.
Yeah.
The whole that kind of being changes for people, doesn't
bonkers.
it?
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
Climates do change, don't they? And the rave scene came in, the DJ culture came in.
Yeah.
This was forms as this was his upbringing, so to speak, of getting into the rave scene and the clubland, which, for my money, we're a mecca right here. Like. Hacienda.
Yeah, we were spoiled.
Thunderdome.
Yeah, but
Sankey's.
the Hacienda went there 2 weeks before I was 16.
Mad.
I met a lot of people. I'm still we were good friends in the queue. But that was
really
yes. So not long after that, then
energy.
Yes, you know what I mean. I'd already been to the Thunderdome, but I was only young. It was like I always hung around with older kids. So the older kids were obviously, could get in places. So try to grow your hair, and you've got the long kind of like centre crash, and you can get in places. You know what I mean? You was always with the older lads.
I've been looking through my school photos, my friend.
So that was that, but that kind of up until about 1997, that was like that. So between 88, a 10-year gap, but it's like I properly stopped Graff putting up reaches and walking the streets when that was probably about 97. But really, the hardcore graffiti days for me stopped in about 92.
92.
Yeah, where it wouldn't be every day, where I would still be tagging buses and doing the streets and everything. But I still obviously went out and always went everywhere with a pen. But my focus had shifted.
To girls and drugs and rave and
well, it was more like going out. I always was always the first on the dance floor because I just loved the music. It was like that was the same as when I saw the kids breaking. When I heard that, I was like, wow, and that's a bit of me.
Yeah, game over.
Yeah,
that's
game
me.
over. That's me. Yeah.
But you've been DJing now, what, for best part of your life? Like
I think I got the decks in about 88, 89. I think I got one deck first because I couldn't afford to. Technics, do you know what I mean? So I didn't want the belt drives. I was like, I had to save up.
It had to be the
yeah. Because if I didn't have them, I didn't think that. My pals had the belt drives.
Yeah, kind of thing.
The same, yeah. It was
tough crowd.
Yeah, definitely. So that took me a while to master that craft. To be honest, it was like, but that was it. I'd be like, at home, just stood trying to eat your tea while still doing it, and stood in your boxer shorts for 9 hours just practicing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Isn't it funny how street culture grabs you like that, and it just becomes a 10,000 hours that you didn't know you were giving it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's it. It's a skill that you have to
Steals from you without, and you readily.
You never, I never stop learning either, because if I go watching some other DJs, you know what I mean, especially if they're used, obviously if they're not using CDJs, you'll always see something that you're like, look at that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You never stop learning. Goes
no.
back to the original question at the start. It's like, you know, you've got to be in it. You've got to love it.
If you're not, if once you think you know everything, you're dead. You're
dead.
You're gone. You might as well. You might as well.
You are, bruv. Yeah, that's right.
You might as well give it up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Any regrets? Thus far? I mean, it's talking about
No.
nothing.
No, because everything is, and even if it's a bad thing, even if it's a bad, like, you can take from that, can't you? Because you will still pull some benefit out of that, because it might be, right, well, I shouldn't have done that. I won't make that mistake again. You know, like I said, watching somebody jump out the back upstairs window from a bus and breaking their arm and having to take them to hospital. I won't be doing that. You know what I mean?
Tracy 168 said that he said the only way you learn is watching other people fuck up, particularly in graph. It's fucking true as fuck. Well, it's like
definitely a true story.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely a true.
You wait
story.
it's who falls. The pirate radio scene over here, because you've been.
Yeah, I mean, it was the original Pirates were a little bit just like I was still too young to get involved in that, but it was like about 1998, 99, 106.1 FM, 106 FM. It was like graffiti writers kind of thing. Met a whole new bunch of people.
Really?
Yeah, and that was Pirate from Greenie's flat. And he, you know what I mean? So he set that up, and then he's thinking like, I've got all this equipment here, and he's very, very handy. Like he put a crack dealer's gate in his flat, right? So, but then the guy from the council has come to fix something. He's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "No." He's like, "This is a crack dealer's gate." All this. I was like, "No." So I had to take him in and show him his setup. But then obviously,
really?
Obviously hide a little bit before he came in. But he was like, "Oh, right." It was like, so in case all the doors got volleyed off and people were getting the shit taxed. So, but that was that. And I think 1999. So since 1999,
wow,
had a weekly 2-hour show. So that's like about, what's that, 25, 26 years or something?
It's a long time, boy. That's what I'll say. It's a
long time that.
Yeah. Well, for commitment, that's fucking commitment.
Yeah, it was like that was like the graph, the new graph thing for me that kept me from probably going to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've never earned any money if you buy records, mate. Or space in your house, or your wife telling you that you need to. Get rid of them.
Sneakers, trainers,
trainers,
Right.
Yeah.
Does the b-boy life run, a thread through all of this in your timeline? Like, just, do you hoard stuff? Is it? Yeah, it's b-boy
3
shit.
copies of Star Wars on DVD.
Yeah,
I mean? Books,
one on VHS.
Buying scene books, buying it. You know what I mean? Still buy graph books. Still everything. You know what I mean? Still everything on the TV tape. You know what I mean? Yeah.
All the dubs. White labels.
Yeah. It never stops.
What's the name of the radio station that you're on at the moment?
Unity Radio.
Unity,
92.8 FM. The Outer Limits radio show. Friday nights, Saturday mornings, 1 till 3 a.m. There you go, giving you the full spiel.
Shut.
Giving you the full spiel.
That's it.
But like a long time ago, I decided that I was like, I wasn't really good at scratching, so I thought I can't really be a hip hop DJ and give it that. So I was like, I'm not so bad at mixing, so I decided that I would, be played at kind of the stuff that would go to the rave kind of things, but like house and techno, bit of electro. So that's the kind of stuff that I check for still these days.
Fucking great. See, like, you need that in your life as well. Like, there's not enough purist DJs that work with nuances of genres and actually lean a different creative slant to it. Like I found, because I spin tunes as well, they're often surprised. They're like, hey, what you doing that for? It's because, hip-hop. It's a hip-hop way of doing it. I'm just reinterpreting it in your genre.
Yes.
And it's that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, the cut and paste kind of thing, or the 2 minute. Yeah. There's always elements of the b-boy thing that it never leaves you. Does it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's in everything. Like, you just said, yeah. In fact, I think it might have been Tough Tim who said that. It's with everything. Obviously, he was a breakdancer and everything else, but that kind of thing, it's in.
It's aggression, it's drive, it's challenge, it's
everything. It's everything. Yeah, I'll always
the
be.
heartbeat
I'll always
of
be a
what-
b-boy. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's inherent in everything that you do, which is mad, really.
Yeah.
I still look back on the graph days, and like there was hours and hours and hours. Like I said, in fact, never mind 10,000 hours. It was like probably 100,000 hours of just doing that. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it was like not the tubes. You know what I mean? We had it different here. That bus scene. Yeah, that was my life. To go all city, you would have to. You have to get about 40 buses per day.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. One-stop wonders.
Fuck's sake.
One-stop wonders. Get on, you tag it, get off, maybe 2 stops, you know what I mean? But you and then you have to go to different areas.
One-stop wonders, I fucking... I don't miss that, that's fucking great. Very good.
Get up there, tag it, get off, do you know what I mean?
One-stop wonders.
So
on and off the whole time.
On and off,
boom, boom.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then another thing that was God bless Raid, fallen soldier. He
Rest
was
in
like,
peace.
and Teo, they were the ones who said, just go to the depot. So sneak into the depot, put a yellow high-vis jacket on, and get in. Then you don't have to catch them. You're in the depot doing it. So that was like a life hack, which was, you know what I mean. So yeah, there was like, how come you so up? He's like, because you get to the depot.
Yeah. Whoa, hey, see, this is intel. This is totally. Especially for that time as well. Young kids just like trying to figure it out. It's almost like it's the biggest cheat code you can have.
That's definitely
Unlocked.
what it was. Yeah.
Fucking
especially
great.
because we had to leave these little buses called Little Gems around here that were single deckers that had about 25 seats on them.
Yeah, I know the ones.
And I've
The little
seen
rural ones.
Yeah. To just getting on the little roads, and I'm seeing like it's got Teo U2. All of them thinking, how the fuck has he done this? So when I met him, I was like, how have you done that? He went, got to go to the depot. So I was like, yes, we'll go with this. Yeah. So that was the like little life hack. But yeah, man, they were the best days. Like I said, it was like a little hip hop community. Yeah. It was like we had our own speak. You know what I mean? It was a code for everything. It definitely was a youth culture.
Yeah.
An underground movement.
Really. Well, it does get replicated, but just in different ways, doesn't it? Like elevation, it goes from the next extreme to the next, and each generation before.
There's lots of young kids who didn't, or may have just seen the back end of that, but they're the ones out bombing. You know what I mean? Big shouts to the SMT crew.
Yeah.
I see from them. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I've
seen them about, man.
Yeah. They're doing it. They're bombing. They're going. They're still doing systems all over. Do you know what I mean? And we was like. We didn't dream of that. Our scene was something completely different. So they've taken it and took that to the next level. So respect to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's how I've gone out again in the last few years. They've, I've got in touch with them and they've said, yeah, come out. I'm like,
that's fucking great. See, love it.
Well, to me that was
Back
it.
out.
They're teaching me new things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. What about that? And they want to know about the history and everything about it.
Yeah.
You're telling that and all the backstories and. Because we did do trains, like said Tech One, he was one of that. We went and did Red Bank, Herbie and Leo, Hanal. So we did, that was the, it's only just around the corner from here, actually.
Really?
Yes, yeah. Yes.
This goes location. We don't talk about that public on the podcast, but yes, there is some bits around here. It's suspect packages, hold tight.
Yeah, so, there definitely was trains and stuff being done. So like I've said off camera before, Carl 123.
Yes.
Yeah, so you know he's big in London, but yeah, Carl was like one of just normal guys who lived not far from where I did, and you know palled around and did that before he started, before he was even Carl.
Yeah.
So you know that was
Before Carl.
Before Carl, yeah, you know he was bass.
Wow.
So that was that. It was like, some people don't know that, but I was in his crew, the Junkies crew. So Ullman, you know, Corey One, God rest his soul as well.
in peace.
Tempt and Carl, Tempt, you know what I mean?
Wow.
He was Ullman. They were smashing it. They had an operation called Operation Plume by BT.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, because they went out and did that much damage.
Wow.
They was
Jesus.
And Ullman, my pal, who was Ullman Tees, that was me and him. That was like, there was Feud and Form, and then it was Tees and Form, FAB, Faster and Better.
Whoa!
Yes. So he got.
This is fucking great.
He got 200 hours community service and a $3,000 fine.
Wow.
In, I think it was 1990.
So that's a bit of money, that. Well,
Yeah, it was, well, yeah.
It was
a fucking fortune, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Back then it was, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then he got a job painting trains.
Fuck.
Yes,
Oh.
honestly, can't make that up. Yeah.
Wow.
True. Yeah, I was on the phone to him the other day. He was like, "No way, yeah." I was like, you know what I mean, because I haven't seen you for a bit. And
Fucking
all that.
genius.
Yeah, man. But yeah.
Shout him out. Big shout out. Of course,
You know,
fuck.
yeah. So obviously off the back of that, when Era went on the run, so which has been mentioned in
Big
the
up
podcast.
Era.
Yeah, he came
Yeah,
up here.
big up Era.
Came up here. They did the Bury line.
Yeah,
That's
rest
what
in
they was
peace.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Carl Ullman, you know what I mean? That was like something, because that was it was the electrified rail line. It was in the country, but they did that. So yeah, they weren't happy with that, BT and the Great Manchester Transport. So that's why I said Operation Plume. Wow. And Anderson as well. That was,
Anderson was the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
the
got
big
a lot
one.
got a lot of people. That so
Yeah, they did. I mean, it's funny how nowadays toleration's not the right word. It just seems to be.
It's just allowed. You know what I mean? People, like I was saying that before, just like them days when like Feud was up there and was just in the Smurf pieces. There were no fucks given. They were just like, oh yeah, that's what it is. But then it became demonized by the authorities.
So maybe it's a demonization that led to this, broken window effect of like, okay, this is really bad, and this is really bad, and then you get these organisations trying to stop, when actually you're fanning a fire.
Well, if you make it look like it's like, you know, an untouchable thing, or you shouldn't be doing that.
Naughty.
The kids are going to go and do it, aren't they? Because it's like taboo. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was a big thing, Manchester. You know what I mean? Like I said, it was
Crazy.
The hip hop. It all stemmed from that, really. And back to radio, Stu Allen. You would get you know. You would get your shout outs. So if you were a local hero, if you got your name, or especially like, you know, Form, Teo, Crash, all them, you know, Killer,
yeah.
you know what I mean, Deafest, big shout to Deafest, Jed from Rochdale, you know what I mean, and Leo, RP, like Killer, you know, all my pals that they would get, you know, if you had your name read out on Stu Allen, you know what I mean. God rest Stu Allen as well.
Yes.
He broke.
Rest in peace.
He broke so many things, like musical wise, here in Manchester. If it wasn't for him, mate, there wouldn't really be a scene for that kind of, you know, the hip hop thing. It really was. Radio was king, which is where my obsession came from.
Might just add, while we're on the record side of things, big up Dave the Rough.
Yeah, Dave the
You know
Rough,
what I mean?
man.
And Grand Central and all these amazing, you know, Mr. Scruff
Yes.
and, you know, God, like, you know,
Yeah.
so many dons out there that
Yeah,
have,
man.
you know, from the 90s onwards have,
Still see Dave,
cultivars.
you know what I mean? Yeah, he's a nice man.
good peoples.
Yeah, man.
He looked out for me when I was very
The
young.
Jeep Beat Collective.
Jeep Beat Collective. Oi, come on, let's send up, yeah. Jeep Beat Collective.
Yeah, man.
God, no, that's some memories.
Yeah, because he was on radio on a Sunday night. You know, we'd just shout out. We'd always say, "This one's for the Wiggers," which always used to make me laugh. You know what I mean? It was like a different kettle of fish then, but yeah,
Tolerated back then.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, so he was. I mentioned that to him. He was just laughing at me.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
going,
yeah.
Why do you remember that? But yeah, Dave the Rough and all that. That's Manchester's seeped in
Crazy.
hip hop history, mate. So, you know.
Brother, It's been a fucking pleasure.
Mate, all mine.
Any shout-outs you want to give?
The FWA crew, so, you know, Feud, obviously, Red, Tech, B, Mega, C. Hilly, Mr. Chili, J. Joe, Pembo, Coles, all the Rochdale crew, them, Leo, Herbie, they was God rest Black Lodge, Uzi, Danny D.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, man, he was Black Lodge. He was on Mowax, but he was just like in '87. So I got to know a lot of people from all them sides through Danny. Sadly passed. Big shout to Zeds, Phase 32, KMA, Tassel, all them crew, all the Crime and Action posse. Rest in peace.
CIA.
Rest in peace. Look, Benson, mate. He was the
Rest in peace.
The Don. He was he never stopped tagging. Never ever stopped tagging. And I met him at Roller City in about 1983.
Wow.
So one of my oldest pals. He just passed recently. So you know, much love to him and his family. Big shout to my mum for putting up with all that shit from when I've been a kid.
You shout all the mums out there for that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Hiding things in the loft and, you know, telling her that the British Transport Police could be coming at any time.
The fear's real.
Yeah, man. Just for you as well, for having us on, pal. That was...
my brother. Forms, thanks so much, my brother.
I mean? And anyone else who knows me, especially like Unity Radio, big shout to Green for keeping me on there for the last... Keep me out of trouble for 25
Keep me out of trouble,
26 years. And anyone else who I know. Oh, big shout to my daughter and my wife to be as well, Lucy and Louise.
You were just got that lucky, you see. Ladies and gentlemen, Killa Kela podcast. I like him. Was that a fashion or what it is? You're in Manny. It ain't grim up north for keeping it lights, camera and action. Full colour burners and more. Culture. Living strong, vibrantly from history and beyond. Sharing is caring. Remember, crime don't pay, but even today, don't talk to another when you stay lucky, people. That's what forms.
Yep.
Easy.